Hi there, Dr. Carlos Todd here, and I'm back with another video on how to fight less, love more. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about this idea of fighting itself or conflict itself is not the problem, right? And you hear me talking about conflict all the time, but that's because that's what I do. That's the area of expertise for me, right? One of the things that I hear from couples out in public, right, in certain forums, is we never fight. One of my eyebrows goes like this, right? What do you mean? And sometimes that it's innocuous. It means we don't have ding dong fights, right? And some people have disagreements, but they're quiet disagreements. So this is fascinating because there's also a category of people that do not fight or have conflicts, and that in itself is dangerous, right? And that's what this video is about. So the category of person that I'm referencing is that those people who they don't have any conflicts, but all of their conversations are transactional. Did you do this? Did you take care of that? It doesn't have any depth. It's kind of like, okay, how's your day? Well, fine. What's going on? Okay. Did you walk the dog this morning? Yeah. That's it. Right? This is not much to it. And the relationship kind of rolls along. There aren't really any disagreements. But if you did an assessment with these individuals, they'll tell you that I feel alone. And so that is the problem. And that can be very different from a couple who they disagree and it's loud, right? Or it's there. And people may look at the couple who disagrees and it's loud and it's, each person has a lot to say and they'll say, yeah, there's something wrong with them. And this couple over here who's quiet and, seems to get along, that everything is fine. There's a challenge that you need to be aware of. The problem is not the conflict. The problem is gridlock. What do I mean by gridlock? What I mean is that you have this situation where you have these disagreements and they're, Gottman, the famous relationship psychologist, that talks about this idea of acceptance of influence. Right? Acceptance of influence is this idea or this notion that you don't have these things within the conversation where you say like, hey, good point. I didn't see that. It's something for me to consider. I need to be more open to this, right? There aren't things that suggest that you're listening to the other person. There's no active listening. There is no consideration for the other person's opinions, needs, concerns, and so on. There is, however, a hyper focus on the challenges associated with the other person's stuff, right? So you're either defending yourself or you're attacking them. That's it. I don't agree. That doesn't make sense. I don't know why we're talking about this, talking about what, talking about this again. There's that back and forth, and that is gridlock. So you should not measure, right, the nature of the fight by the fact that there's a fight itself. You need to measure it by the content. And if there's content that demonstrates a willingness to understand, a curiosity about the other person's desires, needs, concerns, and that curiosity is sustained, then you get a thumbs up from me. If that curiosity is not sustained, then you have some challenges that you're going to have to address. So the issue ultimately is not the fight. The issue ultimately is the quality of the fight and whether you're in gridlock or not. And so you got to ask yourself the question, are we in gridlock? So here are some considerations. If you want to understand this idea of that it is not the fight itself that's the problem, but the quality of the fight itself. I have a book called Fight Plan, which explains how good quality fights work. You can click the link below to get access to that. We also have a course on how to fight less, love more that shares with you a lot of tools on how to address conflicts in relationships. So that's also available. So that's it for today. So these are some of the considerations when it comes to fighting and the quality of a fight versus the actual fights themselves. So don't be deluded by the idea that, we don't fight. Because in some cases, that lack of fighting is really an indication of loneliness, disengagement. So until the next video where we learn to fight less, love more, you take care. Bye-bye.